Is everyone still working at home or back in the office yet? As always as well, we have our Q&A. So any questions that you have throughout the webinar today, we're going to be looking at obviously our digital signatures and our approval workflow feature. Any questions that you have, feel free to add those questions in there, and we can either answer them as we go through, or we can have a bit of a Q&A session towards the end, and we can go from there, which would be great. Obviously it's Thursday, which means it's webinar day, or as I like to call it, shirt day. It's the only day of the week that I put a shirt on. So thanks for making me feel smart today. I really appreciate it. Cool. Where we, Simone, hello from Hertfordshire. First Hands HQ webinar. Very excited. Well, it doesn't get better than this, Simone. So I hope you're excited. Hope you're holding on. It gets pretty exciting. We've got Soup joining from Copenhagen. Lovely. I went there a couple of years ago. Very nice. Very cold as well. It actually rained the whole time I was there for about 3 or 4 days. So I sat inside looking at Copenhagen through my hotel window. So lovely place. Didn't get to see any of it, unfortunately. Also, we're having quite a few more people joining now. So we'll give it a few more minutes. Carol, good to see you on here as well. Thanks for joining. Working from home in Hull with a load of snow. Lovely. I find snow a little bit too distracting when I'm working. When it snowed here, I did for 3 days straight, but to be honest, it's pretty pathetic. It didn't set, which is very upsetting, but it's always quite distracting looking out the window. Great, quite a few more people joining. I just want to apologize to everyone who, and you know, to the disappointment of a few of you that might have read the email wrong. This is a free Thursday webinar and not a free Thursday wine bar. So if you did read the email wrong, then I do apologize. I've been working on that joke all week this week, and I don't have a clue if it's landed with anyone. So I won't quit my day job anytime soon, don't worry. Michelle, I got a response from you, so hopefully you found that one funny. I'll work on a few more for our next webinar. Oh, a nice lol from Carol. Thanks, Carol. That made me feel a little bit better about myself. Maybe you were the one that was here for the wine bar. Who knows? Give it one more minute just for a few more people to join, and then we will be able to get started. As mentioned, for those that have just joined, there's a Q&A up at the top. So any questions you have throughout, feel free to let me know. We do also have a chat function as well in the more section. Feel free to whack any comments in there, either to myself, and we'll be able to answer those. There is the ability where it says 2. You can actually toggle to either all panelists or all panelists and attendees. If you do that to attendees, and everyone can see your comments, if you've got any comments about the system, about the product, questions about the product, then everyone will be able to be able to sort of chime in and add any comments that they want as well. Perfect. So what we'll do is we'll start now. It's about time to start and kick off. As mentioned, any questions, feel free to whack your questions into the system here. We'll answer your questions as we go through. I'm just going to pull my screen up and get this ready for you. So as mentioned, today we're going to be running through our approvals workflow and our digital signature features. So hopefully, well, I think a lot of you are already probably Hands HQ customers. Some of you might not know too much about Hands HQ, and it might be your first look at the system. Today we're going to be purely looking at 2 features, so approval workflow and digital signatures. If you did want to learn any more about our product, about different features, whether it be the RAMs, CPPs, training register, then feel free to get in touch at the end, and happy to do a full sort of demo looking at the whole product itself. But hopefully everyone should be able to see my screen moving up and down now. If you can't, then please do, don't shout really loud because I won't be able to hear you, but write a comment and we can sort it out. But so this is the Hands HQ system. Hopefully you're all very aware of this right now, and this probably looks very familiar to you all. This is obviously our projects page where all of our RAMs, that we've created will live. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to jump into a project that I created earlier, which is at Buckingham Palace. So very lucky today we've got projects at Buckingham Palace. This is probably something that you haven't seen on your system so far if you don't have the approvals feature. We've actually got a separate column here to say whether a document has been approved, a RAMS has been approved or not. And I'll give you an example of how that looks in a minute and how we can change it from not submitted to approved. But let's jump into our project that we have actually created earlier, my Blue Peter moment. So obviously when we've created a project and we've finished a project, you come onto your project summary page, which would look like so. But actually up at the top here, we've got an additional feature, which is our submit for approval. Now, essentially the approval feature enables you to send a project to an internal designated approver. They'll actually be able to review the document itself, so preview the document, then they can approve the document, approve the conditions, or actually reject the document. The approver is also able to provide comments or feedback on that RAMS document back to the author, so they know exactly what bits of information need to be added to the RAMS document to then be able to be sent off to the client, sort of making sure it ticks all the boxes essentially in terms of that compliant and that quality. So throughout the Hands HQ system, there's so many different sort of features that we have built in, which ensures that sort of high level of quality and consistency throughout, whether it's the risk assessment library, the pre-populated content that gets pulled through based on selections into your sequence operations and your method statement, content editing, risk register, all helps you sort of ensure that high level of quality and consistency. And essentially the approval workflow is that sort of last line of defense almost to ensure that quality is there and give you another set of eyes actually on the documents that you're creating. So to give you an example, a working example of how this works, if we take a customer of ours, let's say an electrical contractor, for example, and they have project managers, site managers, engineers out on site who are actually writing these documents, before they, once they have created them and they've written the document, before they get sent to the client, that extra step, that approval process is in place there. So they would select who needs to be that approver. We can create a pool of approvers as well. So you can decide who needs to have this document sent to be approved. For different types of jobs, it could be different types of approvers. So let's say once we've created this document, we wanted myself to be the approver, we can actually now submit this for approval. What's going to happen there is that approval, myself for this example, is then going to receive an email. So I'm the AP, the AE at this point, and I want to sort of do my technical analysis on this document, ensure that it ticks all the boxes. It says compliant as it should be. It's got all the information there that we need for the project. So obviously we can preview the document itself via this button up here. Read through the document, make sure it's got all of the information in that we need to, and then we can actually go ahead and approve this document. You've got the ability to approve with conditions or actually reject the document. So if you feel that that engineer that's created the document, for example, has missed a fair amount of information out, then we can add our comments and then reject it. If you've read through it and you think, wow, this is the best RAMS I have ever seen, then you can let them know that, and then we can actually approve this document here. So essentially, I've gone through that process, I've approved that document, and now being notified on the system, your project manager or the person, the author of this document, will then be able to see when they log into the system that actually that approval process has taken place. And now this RAMS is now ready to be sent off to our client, in this case, which is Crown Estates. So really, it's just really helping once again with that sort of last line of defense, ensuring that actually all of the information that's in there is there. You can write notes in that approval process if you are rejecting it to say, you know, this is the information that you need to make sure that you're adding, and so on. So it really does just give that another set of eyes onto that process, but it also does allow you to sort of let go of some of that control and the responsibility and give that responsibility to others, but you still are involved with that process. It's not like you're saying, right, okay, you've never written a RAMS before, here you go, and write them and they're sent off to the client. You can ease them in nicely to write in RAMS, but still be part of that approval process. Has anyone got any questions around approvals at all? Once again, Q&A is up at the top, so please do let me know if you've got any questions. It might be worth mentioning, yeah, so for some of our much larger clients, we do have sort of multiple approvers. There might be a group of up to 10 different individuals that are approving it. When you do select an individual to approve that document, they're the only one that's going to receive the email. However, so the email would look like so. If I can pull that through. Nope. Yeah, here we go. So this is what the email would look like. This is the email that you would actually be receiving. And then you can just click on that link and you go straight through to the document that actually has been submitted for approval as well. So we've got a question here from Maria. Are the RAMs built into the system or can you upload your own? So we have a load of content, a full content library that you can use that's already built into the system. It may be that you need a full custom and bespoke library, which we can sort of build in for you as part of the onboarding process. So yeah, it's a bit of both. You can create a bit of a hybrid of your own content library, but also ours as well. Completely depends on what sort of line of work you're in, essentially. Great. Any other questions? Feel free to throw them in now, and happy to answer them. I'm going to jump onto digital signatures now and show you a little bit of that process as well. Any questions, I can always jump back to them towards the end as well. Great. One last thing that's actually worth mentioning too, on the activity tab in our revision history, we can actually see how this document is changing over time. And when we have had a document approved that we've done here, we can see how that change has been affected within the version as well. So we've approved that document and therefore we're in version 1. Any further changes that do happen, you can send this document for approval once again. So it may be that you update a document for a project which is 3 years long, for example. You may have multiple times that needs to be approved every time it's reviewed or every time that there's a change to the project itself. Great, so now let's jump on to the next part, which is our digital signatures. Now this is actually a really big so I just got a message, Lisa, you've missed this, but yes, the session is being recorded and we'll send a recording out to everyone at the end. Now, digital signatures have been around for quite a while on Hands HQ actually, but many of our customers have actually only really seen just how important this process is and how important digital signatures are to them over the past year. Purely, I think, obviously due to lockdown and COVID and so on, it's a lot of businesses are wanting to stop as much transition as possible and start making these processes as digital. So no more sharing pens, papers around. You can use your own device, being your mobile or your laptop, tablet, outside, actually to sign off on these documents after an induction has taken place. Now, so what we do at this point, chronologically, this is the order of the process that you would follow. We've created our document. We have had it approved internally. So now it's ready to be sent off to your clients. You probably sent it off already via the email button here. And now we can actually start sending this document out and add in all of our operatives that are going to be on site, who actually this RAMS document has been created for. So we can come into our personnel tab here and we can add a personnel. So let's say if we wanted to add Alan to our job. We've added Alan, we can see what role they are. It's pulling through their training statuses. This is something that we went through a few weeks ago on our training register demo. But once again, if you missed that, wanted to understand a little bit more about the training register, then please do let us know and we're happy to fill you in on that product too. But this is where it integrates. We can see their training status gets pulled through. And at the moment, the status of the signature is it's not been sent. So there's a couple of ways that we can do this to achieve the digital signature. We can either send it out via email. So an email will be attached to Alan. Alternatively, if there is a computer on site, a shared computer, which each individual can use, if someone logs into the system, they can find their name and actually sign off against that. So very straightforward. All we need to do is ask for everyone to sign the latest version of the document. Alan's now going to receive an email with a link to the document for him to review, to preview that document, and then he's just able to actually sign off on it. The example I'm going to give you now is if someone's actually logged into the system, they can find their name, they can select on actions and go to sign now. The first step of the signature is obviously going to be reviewing the actual document itself. So this is going to give us pull through the document that we've created within Hands HQ or someone else has created. Obviously, your documents probably look a little bit different to this. You've got your own logos, business information. As I mentioned earlier, a revision number does update itself as and when the document goes through any further edits, and then through that approval process as well. I won't go into this in too much details. I know a lot of you know exactly what our RAMs look like that are created through the system. Some of you aren't actually users of Hands HQ now, so this is what is actually be able to be created as part of our 4-step process to create site-specific RAMs. So once we have created our document, you can see here that we've got towards the end our, oh, press back there, sorry about that. Towards the end of the document, we have our sign-off sheet. You can always have an empty blank sign-off sheet added to the end, but it's not going to work digitally. So once I have, if we shoot down to the bottom again, once I have accepted this and signed, the digital signature will then actually imprint onto the final signature page here. So let's go ahead and do that. So Alan's read through the document, happy with the document, happy to get to work, understood all of the risks, and then can just select accept. Now what's going to happen here is actually going to capture an image of the individual that is signing the document off. I'm going to do a nice smile for this one. Oh, that's still dreadful. I tried to look happy. It's just fake happy, I think there. But then we can just we sign off on the document like so. So essentially, the big benefit of this is you're doing your due diligence. You're making sure you're getting the right people signing off on the right documents. We all know that when it comes to paper, you know, people can fall through the net. You end up having someone that turns up late for site, or someone that just uses the excuse, oh, I haven't got a pen on me today. So they don't end up signing that document. So this, firstly, we can make sure that individuals are signing it because we can track it on the system. But secondly, we can make sure that the right people are signing off on the right documents. You don't have, you know, one person that ends up signing off for 5 or 6 of the other operatives who have turned up late to site and they're just covering them, for example. We can really make sure psychologically as well, we have heard from a few of our customers that it does actually start making people think a little bit more about safety on site, purely because not only have we got their signature, but we've actually got their picture to go along with it as well. So at any point within the document, let's say 2-3 months down the line, or even 6 months, a year down the line, there was an incident on site and there's some form of investigation, rather than having to look through all of your different paperwork that you had on site, maybe that job's finished and all of that paperwork is shoved away in a file somewhere and you've got to drastically look around for the right version number with the signatures. You can just jump back into Hands HQ, find that project, obviously everything's stored within the system, and then you're just able to jump into here, find the name of the individual, and then you can just find their signature once again. So sort of really, I guess, protecting your liabilities at that point as well. Let's just have a look, see, we've got some questions. Maria, in terms of templates, multiple templates for RAMs, yes, I can get in touch with you after this and sort of discuss how we can help out with those potential sort of templates that you have for your different clients. Did anyone have any questions around the digital signatures at all? Happy to ask. We've got a question here from Michelle. Thanks for the question, Michelle. Can you use a phone or tablet to use digital signatures? You certainly can. So I believe tablet's very easy. You just sign into the system and then you're able to find your name once again. So it may be when you do your site induction for your RAMs, you have a tablet or a laptop, you pass around to each individual that's able to sign it off. I think one of the big benefits about having the so in-person signature, obviously it takes a picture, but then the digital signatures where you actually sent an email and you can sign it off on your phone. You know, your operatives, the engineers out on site are always going to have a digital copy of that RAMs document essentially in their pocket at all times. So if HSE were to ever do any form of spot check and they say, you know, where are your RAMs, rather than saying, oh, they're in the office in a folder somewhere, which we've heard some horrific stories about documents being lost out on site. Or the other day I was speaking to a construction company who had a big flood on one of their sites and all their documents were ruined. So they spent 3 or 4 days trying to rewrite RAMs and get everyone to sign them again. You know, everything is online. You can pull your phone out of your pocket. You've got access to that RAMs document straight away on your emails, or actually logging into the system as well. And then, yeah, just the final point as well. Obviously, I did mention it earlier. Digital signatures is essentially, you know, COVID secure. The feature removes that need of having to share pens, paper. Obviously, there is going to be the occasion maybe where you have to share a computer to sign on a mobile, sign off on a computer. But otherwise, pretty much everything can be done on your own device, which is really handy to sign these documents off. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's got any sort of questions at all. That is pretty much the majority of the sort of product demo. Obviously, once again, it's worth mentioning that in the activity tab, you can see when individuals are signing off on documents as well. So you've got that full audit trail of the activity, and within the activity tab of how and when individuals are signing these documents off as well. You can add as many individuals to the job as well, so you can start adding more and more operatives or engineers actually onto the document too. So for anyone that doesn't actually have access to the system at the moment, to these features, and you'd like to sort of understand how we can add these to your package, then please do get in touch with myself or a member of the team. If you've got an account manager, then feel free to send us a message, and we can obviously understand what package you're on and how we can sort of set this up for you. Got a question from Paul. Thanks for the question, Paul. We would have a number of RAMs on site with new operatives starting every day. Would this be suited to that setup? Yep. So it's very easy, very straightforward. So what you can do is every time you've got a new operative turning up on site, you can just add them to the document. So you don't have to add everyone at the start. You can add them sort of periodically throughout that project. Just add a brand new person onto that document, and then you'll be able to get the signatures from them. If you do make any updates to a brand new version, for example, then it is going to say whether that individual has signed version 1 or version 2. It may be the case that you're on version 4 and someone still only signed version 3, so you can actually resend it out to them to sign the latest version as well. Or you can always send reminders to those individuals too. Any further questions from anyone else at all? Any questions that you do have after this that might have just come to you as soon as we hang up, then feel free to get in touch, and happy to help out. I think we've got another question here. Let me just see. Paul, thanks for the question, Paul. Another Paul, different Paul this time. Does everyone that is required to sign the document have to be a registered user? No, so they don't have to be a user. So it's different between users and those people that need to sign documents. So you don't have to be a user. You can just be a personnel that gets added to the actual document itself. So yeah, I think you can pretty much add as many people as you need onto that. Great. I think that's pretty much most of the questions there. I think, as I mentioned, any further questions, feel free to get in touch. The one last thing that I just wanted to mention before everyone does run off to grab a sandwich, so apologies for keeping you over your lunch, but thanks for joining, is our next webinar is on the 24th of Feb, so in a couple of weeks' time. This is actually going to be one of our content webinars. We do have a special guest joining us, one of Hands HQ's customers, health and safety manager, health and safety director will be joining us. And we're going to talk about how COVID-19 and digital transformation within health and safety, within construction over the past 9 months. So it'd be really interesting for you to join that conversation. If you do have any pointers that you wanted to add to this conversation piece as well, then please do get in touch. And we're always sort of happy to add extra topics onto within this topic to discuss with everyone as well. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from me. As I mentioned, if you wanted to understand about price and how we can add this to your account, then please do get in touch with even myself or a member of the team, and we'd be happy to help out. Once again, thanks very much, and we'll see you at the next either content webinar or the next demo that we'll be doing for another feature in a few weeks' time. See you later, everyone. Thanks very much for joining once again.